What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Let me get to the spot. Oh, hey, everybody. This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get right at it. We're going to get serious for a minute here today. The topic is called Whose Voice Is That? Now, a few years ago, I was listening to this lecture by KRS-One. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. KRS-One, hip hop legend. He was speaking at a school and he had the audience. He said, I want you to follow along with me. He said, I want you to say the word rock star, because he had this little sticker. I guess Rockstar was probably sponsoring his tour. And he had this sticker up there and he said, I want you to say rock star, but I want you to say it in your mind, inside, without speaking it out. So he said, say it. So the room got silent. He said, you heard a sound in your mind, right? He said, you felt this vibration inside. And then this image of Rockstar, that, you know, he had the sticker of the drink. And he said, you saw that. You heard the sound in your mind. You felt the vibration. And then this image appeared in your mind of Rockstar. Then he asked the audience, he said, whose voice was that speaking? And what language was it speaking in? Everybody thought, well, wait a minute. What was that? And he said, is that you? Now just hold on to that thought for a second. I'm getting deep here for a second. Okay. Now just think about when you're sitting quietly. You're just sitting somewhere. You'll be out in the field. You could be on the porch. Somewhere you have no distractions. You got no music. There's nothing. There's no distractions. All of a sudden, a thought just comes out of nowhere. A thought. Then all of a sudden that thought becomes this vibration. And then there becomes this voice and this image. Okay, so my question to you is, where did that come from? And who was communicating with you? Ponder that for a second. Getting a little deep here. All right, now, typically, those moments come when we are like really sitting still and not having any distractions. Because there is a huge amount of power in meditation. Because we are tapping into our imagination, we are tapping into our intentions, and we are tapping into silence. Okay, and we're going to get back on that in a second. But we've got so many distractions nowadays, we don't take the time to get ourselves in those moments of just really being without any distractions, where we can really tap into ourselves. All right, so think about this for a second. How can God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Agnaktu, the Creator, the Almighty, the Omnipotent, the Omnipresent, how can that communicate with everyone on the planet simultaneously? Now, I'm going to have some people that are going to be getting at me as far as religion and anything, but I'm just trying to, I'm going off a little bit. I'm getting deep here a bit, but I'm not getting religious. You know, how can the Almighty communicate with everybody simultaneously? Because I've seen this on television when they say, hey, we're going to have this global, universal earth prayer day or whatever. And typically everybody is nobody's talking to each other. They're all sitting somewhere, or they're just, you know, they're not chanting or anything or whatever. Usually they're in silence. Okay, now think about that for a second. And as you think about that, think about this. Around the world, we have in America, we use the dollar. In Mexico and Latin countries, they use the peso. In France, they use the franc. German, they use the Deutschmark. Japan, they use the yen. The ruble is in some of these. I think Russia, they use the ruble. British, they use the pound. You see all them variations of, and if you actually went to the what is that? What market is that? The foreign exchange market. Man, there's so many different currencies all over the world. Okay. Now, when you go to those countries, you have to exchange your money, which is like a language. You have to now turn your money into their language so you can communicate with them financially in their language. Am I making sense? Now, all these different places, and Africa is just notorious for that. You got 53 nations in Africa, and I believe all 53 of them have their own currency. And absolutely asinine. That continent should be on one currency. But I digress. That's a whole nother thing, and hopefully it'll get under, because it's so rich in gold. They could be on the gold standard and have. I'm getting off track here. All right, let's get right back. All right. So now in America's infinite wisdom, in its 50 states, which could be the equivalent of 50 nations, we've got one currency, one financial voice. Now think about that. So let's go back. How does God, or the infinite, the almighty, the creator, the all-powerful, communicate with all these nations all at one time? Okay. There has to be something common amongst everybody. And everybody said, well, it's religion. I said, okay. I'm thinking in terms of there's something that we all do that's common. Did you just feel that? That was silence. That is something we all share. We all share silence. Because I've mentioned this in one of my other videos. I believe that when we go to sleep, that is our opportunity where we communicate with our Creator in silence. Now, again, I'm not trying to get religious with, and some people are going to maybe bark at me, whatever. But I'm just thinking in terms of when going back to KRS-One, he says, whose voice is that? And we don't hear it unless we are sitting still and we are silent. So this is what I'm getting at. I made some absolutely miraculous changes in my life during some of the darkest times in my life. And it was because I took a moment to get quiet with myself, get silent, stop talking. I turned off all the distractions. And see, nowadays we've got so many social media things. We got access. We got our phones. We're carrying these things around. We're always looking at things and trying to be distracted by stuff, as opposed to just getting with ourselves and listening to ourselves. Because I've also learned that when you are in your silent place, you start speaking the truth to yourself. And I think a lot of times people don't want to hear the truth. It's more easy to be distracted by this and the nonsense. Oh, Kevin Hart didn't get the Grammys, or, the Oscars, or whatever that nonsense is. Or there's a beef between two rappers, or somebody got shot over here and this with this person. All distractions. So when you want to tap into, I believe you want to tap into that source and really get close and really have the voice, the creator really communicating with you. That means you need to sit your ass down, get quiet, turn off all the other stuff, and just get in silence. And I believe you'll hear it. First of all, I believe the Almighty will talk to you, but because you've gotten rid of all the distractions, you'll hear it. And if you do that, if you really, really get serious about that and really wanting to communicate and have the Almighty communicate back with you, I believe at that point you are truly planning your greatness. This is Planning Your Greatness. And some of you, I don't know, I got deep. And if this really bothers you, hey, hit me in the comments or whatever. I'd love to just interact, because I'm still just a child trying to learn some more. All right, this is Plan Your Greatness, and I will say this again. Plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I'll see y'all next time.